All right. In the meantime, we've been telling you about how it is not going for a number of states and big businesses concerned about these new EPA guidelines on emissions and wanting to cut them down by 32% by the year 2030. That is not flying well with a number of states, 16 of them now saying they're not going along with it. They're not happy about it. In fact, they're suing over it. And right now, one of them joins us. We got Scott Pruitt, is the Oklahoma Attorney General. Scott, good to have you. Your premise is what? They are overstretching what even the Supreme Court has allowed them to do, right? The court just ruled, look, EPA, you've got to factor in the cost of what you're proposing and regulating, right?
You know, each of the last two terms, Neil, the Supreme Court has chastised and ruled against the EPA because they're not complying with the statutes. They routinely take this deference that they say that they have and stretch it. The elasticity is quite a bit, and they're doing the same thing here with this clean power plan approach by the president. Listen, the president has kept his promise. In 2008, he said he was going to declare a war on coal, and we've seen over 411 coal plants from across the country shut down. We see this effort taking shape in raising utility rates for consumers across the country. This is a very important matter that the states have to respond to because, Neil, it is a political power grab over the nation's power grid that we're trying to deal with.
Now, you're questioning the legality as well of the EPA doing this, right? Now, the EPA has done this sort of stuff in the past, and states have had to comply. So on what grounds do you fight it?
Well, the statute is very clear. The Clean Air Act says if you're regulated under Section 112 of the Clean Air Act, you can't be regulated under Section 111D. So what is the EPA doing?
That's what I thought. So it was 112 versus 111D. I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's exactly right. Well, Section 111D is what the EPA is using to regulate power plants across the country. And so they don't have that authority. It's very clear they don't have the authority, but yet they're pressing on. And that's why you see 16 states joining the coalition.
Wow. The Supreme Court and its decision earlier this year to say, cool it on this stuff unless you factor in the cost, is that going to come into your legal argument?
I mean, when you look at the benefit and the cost-benefit analysis, Neil, you're exactly right. I mean, the EPA, when they introduce these rules, they're not contemplating the increased cost to consumers across the country. You know this, but when you look at fossil fuels, oil, natural gas, and coal, it generates approximately 70% of all of our electricity. If you have this war on coal that the EPA is engaged in, and you take about 30 to 35% of that fossil fuel mix off the grid, what is that going to do? It's going to cause rates to skyrocket across the country. And so the president is doing all that he can to make sure that those that least can afford it is going to be paying, they're going to be paying the most for their utility cost.
All right, Attorney General, thank you very much.